Good morning. So on we go in our thought for the day, thinking about the life of David. I hope you got the chance to read the rest of chapter 18, because I'm not going to read it in full. But if you didn't get a chance to read chapter 18, do have a read of it today. And we get a contrast in these passages between these two men. Now Saul was older than David, of course. And he was king, and David was the shepherd, come soldier, come hero of the people. And Saul had started his reign with God, being with him and blessing him. But as David's star rose, as it were, Saul became very jealous of him. And we see the heart of both these men. Saul did some awful things to David. First of all, he threw his spear at him twice to try and kill him. David did not retaliate. David did not rebel. David did not escape even. He didn't leave the household of Saul for safety. He didn't try and get revenge. He didn't talk about it, as far as we know, to anybody. Probably to Jonathan, but maybe not to anybody else. Saul sent David away to fight distant battles as a commander, to get him out of his hair, to get him away. He sent him away. And David simply served faithfully and had success in everything he put his hand to. Then Saul offers David, which was one of the rewards for killing Goliath, his elder daughter, Merab. And then and Saul gives her to David, and David says in verse 18, "Who am I? And who are my kinsfolk, my father's family, that I should become son-in-law to the king?" He was awed by the thought. He was blessed by the thought that the king would give him his daughter. But by the time she should be given to him, she was given to someone else. And then Saul decides to give him Michal, his younger daughter. And I don't know what Michal was like, but there's a hint to the sort of personality she had, because it says in verse 21, Saul thought, "Let me give her to him, that she may be a snare for him." I don't think she was a nice woman. And Saul thought, well, this will cause David trouble if I give him my younger daughter, Michal. And then, of course, he asks for something which is horrible to think of, but he asks for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. That's horrible. The Philistines were not circumcised people, of course the Jews were. And to take the foreskins of your enemy, you really have to kill them, I think. You're not going to get them any other way. He wants to cause David injury. He wants David to be killed by the Philistines. He plans it out because in verse 21 he said, "Let me give her to him, that she may be a snare for him, and that the hand of the Philistines may be against him." So he's already planned what he's going to ask as the bridal price, which was quite wrong, because whoever took down Goliath was to be given Saul's daughter in marriage. It was one of the rewards. So Saul was quite wrong to ask David for an extra bridal price. But he did, and David did it. Not only did it, but he doubled it. And Saul has no option but to give him Michal for his wife. And throughout all of this, Saul saw that at every turn, God was with David and not with him. There was blessing in everything that David did, and there was not blessing in everything that Saul did. And there's just a couple of thoughts I have about this. The first thing is that when you've got a bad attitude to someone, taking it out on the person that you are jealous of is not the way to do it, because God will bless that person if their heart is right before him. We have to deal with the wrong that's in us. Personally, we have to come to God with the wrong attitude that's in our heart. We have to come to God with the upset, the emotion that's in our heart that we can't seem to get rid of. Sending the person or getting away from the situation does not change our heart. And I think this is one of the biggest problems many of us have, that if we're confronted with a particular response to a certain kind of situation that goes on in our hearts, and we think the way to deal with it is to escape the situation. If we do, God will bring us into another situation very similar so that our heart attitude can be dealt with. You can't escape yourself. What you have to do is bring yourself to God. And the fact that you cannot deal with this yourself, but bring it to God. Face it head on. Bring it to God and let him deal with it. I'm reminded of Pilgrim's Progress. In Pilgrim's Progress is all very symbolic, and it's a lovely book to read if you get a chance to read it. But there is one point at which Christian is confronted with what is in the book is called the hill difficulty. And he's confronted with this hill difficulty, and he meets two people at the bottom of the hill, and there are paths either side at the bottom of the hill to go round it, and both of them tempt him to go with them round the bottom of the hill, and he refuses to go with them. He goes up the hill, and it's very difficult. But just when he thinks he's not going to manage it, there's an arbour, there's a place for him to take refuge and to gather his strength for the rest of the climb. And he goes over the top of the hill difficulty. And when he gets to the other side, the two people who are going round the outside never meet him again because they never get round the hill. And it's good advice. If you are struggling with something, don't run away from it. Deal with it. Get help if you need to. Talk to one of your leaders. Talk to someone you admire in the faith. But don't try and evade it because you're running away from something in yourself that needs dealing with. It's not the fault of the person you hate or the person you're jealous of. Your response, if it's not a good response, is coming from your own selfish position, and you need help to deal with it, perhaps. Certainly running away doesn't help, or sending the person away doesn't help, or trying to be spiteful to them and hurt them doesn't help, because you can't. You've got to deal with what's going on in your heart. Anyway, that's enough from me for today. Have a read of chapter 19 for tomorrow, and we'll meet again tomorrow for another thought for the day. May God bless you richly. Have a great day. Bye-bye.